Hello everyone, welcome to our first ever Battletome Reacts video. My name is Lance and I'm joined by...
Nico.
Exactly.
I don't know what the fuck that was, but yeah.
Oh man, look, don't say the F word right away, we're gonna get demonetized. Wait. Save the F word for like 5 minutes down the video.
Okay.
It's okay, you know what, whatever, we're not doing this for the money, let's keep rolling, it's okay, we're organic here.
Let's keep that,
this is an organic video, and for
Patrick,
people who don't know...
Yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, for people who don't know, there will be some cursing in this. Also, we're doing this for fun. Neither of us are Sons of Behemat players, though we have played against the army, and I've piloted the army a few times. And Nico, you wanted to talk to our tech guy?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Patrick, if you cut my F-bombs out, I'm gonna kill you later, but yeah.
Okay, so Patrick cut his threats of violence. But anyways, so tonight, we're going to be reviewing the Sons of Behemat 2022 Battletome, and we're going to be referencing the Goonhammer review article. We don't have a copy of the tome because we don't have 20,000 subscribers yet, and that's apparently the minimum Games Workshop needs to send some products. Speaking of which, if you like this content, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. So, Sons of Behemat. This should have like 5 to 6 war scrolls only. It shouldn't take very long, but let's see what we got here.
But with all our F-bombs and all our violent reactions to all the bullshit they're getting, that's probably what's gonna add to the runtime for this.
We're padding the runtime. So Sons of Behemat. Before we go on to this, though, let's talk about Sons of Behemat really quickly. Sons of Behemat is an army that usually plays with a few mega gargants that dominates the battlefield with their sheer size and ability to control objectives, even move objectives, and just straight up decimate their enemies with a few war scrolls. Over the course of Age of Sigmar, the start of Age of Sigmar 3, Sons of Behemat was extremely dominant, and according to TSN Sports Network, at some point even had like a 60 to 70% win rate because during the first season of AOS 3. This is the first major change they've had since the White Dwarf article that gave them extra battle tactics and grand strategies. And it includes quite a few new things. So if you're really into these big, colossal, like giants of destruction, then Sons of Behemat might be for you. And if you like the changes that you see, maybe it's a great time to go to your local game store and pick them up. So
actually, I was gonna say, like, if you just don't want to think too much, this is perfect for you.
That's true. So another reason that Sons of Behemat was heavily criticized was that not only did it have a decent enough skill ceiling, it also had a very, very low floor. So part of why they would get really high percentage wins in tournaments is not only because they were very good at winning, they were also very good at not losing. So even if you're not very sophisticated in the game, the floor is so low that if your opponent does not have the means to pass a damage check against the Sons of Behemat, who have 35 wounds per Mega Gargant, then there's no way you're going to be winning against them.
Yeah, the basic strategy was basically sit in the objective and then don't die, right? And back in the day, before when 3.0 just came out, nobody had the tools for that, right? Until they released dragons, and then they nerfed dragons immediately when 3.0 started, right?
Yeah.
Also, I just want to make a quick comment. Not funny that you mentioned it. They were given a White Dwarf update, even though they already had like a 60% win rate, 60+% win rate. They were still given a White Dwarf update and a book immediately after, the year after, right? So that kind of debunked what people were saying, that, oh, White Dwarf updates are only for armies not getting a battle tome this year.
Yes. I don't actually understand why Games Workshop did that, but this is the world we live in. I'm excited to dive into this book, see whether or not the Mega Gargants have gotten stronger or weaker or just adjusted for balance. Let's find out together, shall we?
Yeah, I mean, I know what kind of world we live in. Just like my parents, it's obvious that they have favorites right now, but let's go. Let's keep going.
I am so sorry, and when the next time I see you, I will give you a hug, maybe. But or maybe not, I don't know. So, okay. So, Goonhammer summarizes 5 major things that changed about the book. The first one is that there are 2 new Mega Gargants. One is the Beast Smasher Mega Gargant, which is apparently going to be very good against fighting monsters, and a new unique character named King Broad. who is also a priest, and I can't wait to dive into that later.
Yeah.
The mercenary mechanic has been improved. You no longer lose command points for bringing a mercenary Gargant with you if you're playing them with other armies.
Wait, sorry. In the old rules, you lost command points from bringing a mercenary?
Yes. So when you bring a mercenary Gargant in the older rules, your army is not like, let's say, a pure army of your own kind. And the
Yeah.
mercenary rules showed them to be so unruly that you don't gain an extra command point.
Oh,
Or that you lose
actually,
one at the start of each turn.
that's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
It's really obscure, and in our meta, and for context, we're from the Philippines. In our meta, we rarely see people bring mercenary Gargants, so it's never really been an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I can see why they did that to balance shit out, right? I mean,
Maybe.
these things are dominating the tournaments, and having one in a decent army can kind of tilt the game a lot in your favor.
Okay, so a little history lesson is that before the Kronspine Incarnate came out, armies that weren't doing very well, like Night Hunt back in 2.0, or at least
Yeah.
early 3.0 before their book, and Flesh Eater Courts would sometimes get a Mega Gargant as an ally to supplement their
Yeah.
biggest weakness, which was staying power.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now they have the Kronspine for that, or Night Hunt is banging now, so they don't really need that.
They don't really need it. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. So another change that they made was they added 3 new monstrous rampages, and from the previous that they had in the Warhammer Warcom article, they look amazing, and we'll talk about them more when we get to that point.
Yep.
They also wanted to make sure that the tiny man babies or the man crushers or smaller Gargants would actually get some love and attention this time. Not only did they change the stats so that man crushers dealt more damage per swing, they also made it so that each tribe has a different type of command ability that goes with the man crushers to give them their own flavor depending on what tribe you're playing. There will be Path to Glory things in the book, but as of right now, we're not going to be reviewing them because we feel that we're not exactly experts in the whole Path to Glory. We're not Path to Glory connoisseurs, so it's probably better that we just talk about the first 4.
Yeah, but before we continue, that's actually pretty interesting that they still get Path to Glory stuff, because I can't imagine a 750 point army where it's just one Mega Gargant and one baby Gargant, I guess.
Actually, if the points are to be believed, you could actually fit a Mega Gargant and 2 Man Crushers at right now for 750, but I'll get to that later.
Yeah, and that's pretty insane though. Sorry, before we continue, that just shows you how insane that is. At 750 points, I guess another 750 point Path to Glory list. I don't know anything with 700 worth 750 points that can take out a Mega Gargant alone. Actually,
Yeah, at 750 points, you have 59 wounds.
Yeah.
Let that sink in for just a moment.
yeah. Anyways,
Well-
we can cover that later, right?
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so let's go down and see battle traits. So, what changed here? There's one generic trait, Mightier makes Rightier, and it's been changed significantly. So, the big change for Mightier makes Rightier is that now, unlike before, it actually degrades. In
Which
the past,
thank God,
sorry,
right? Thank
Yeah.
God it degrades now.
so in the past, a normal Mega Gargant would count as 20 on an objective, and a
Yeah.
Man Crusher would count as 10. Except if you were playing in the Taker tribe, the Taker tribe,
Yeah.
where a Mega Gargant would count as 30 and the Man Crushers would count as 15 each. So now
Yeah.
all the Man Crushers count as 10, the Mega Gargants now count as 20 still, but Broad starts at 25. And what's really good is that now there is a diminishing returns on how much they count as when you hurt them. In the past, even if a Mega Gargant was at full health or 1 wound, it would still count as that maximum score, making them really tough to blow out of objectives. But now, just like every other unit in the game, if you hurt them enough, they degrade in score. To my understanding, the highest is 20 usually, and the lowest is 12. But I think that will still be different for Taker Tribe, which we'll discuss later.
Which makes fucking sense, right? I mean, it just felt so uninteractive about playing against Suns back in the day, right? When they counted as 30 in the objective, you do a pretty decent job chipping away at them, but they're also chipping away at you. So your conquering forces are getting smaller and smaller while they just remain at 30, and that felt very unfair back in the day.
Yeah, I think that when Nico and I were talking about this offline, this was the change that we really wanted. Because when we saw Kragnos have that, where he counts as 30 on an objective, but it degrades. We felt that was the most fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, okay. So that's the biggest change with Mightier Makes Right here. Next, let's go to Monsters Rampages. This is probably the section that I'm a really big fan of. They added three new Monsters Rampages. The first one is Colossal Slam. You pick an enemy monster that is not part of a unit consisting of 2 or more models. So, like Storm Drake Guard, or what else is like 2 or more model monster units?
There were
Cockatrice,
models
I
in the
guess.
monsters.
No,
No, I
not
think
that.
it's single models. Yeah, there's just single models.
Okay. I'm trying to think of other stuff besides Storm Drake Guard. Put in the
I
comments
think
if you can think of one.
I think it's just the Storm Drake Guard for now, and they did
Man Crusher.
this with there you go, yeah,
Yeah,
and
Man
the Man
Crusher.
Crushers. But I think they mainly had the Storm Drake Guard in mind also because you know how Gargants and Dragons are they like mortal enemies or something like that. I don't know.
Right, but
Probably.
in this context, it does not work if the monster unit is 2 or more. So on a
Yeah.
3+, you can remove the monster from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere wholly on an open ground within half an inch of this unit. So what essentially happens is the Mega Gargant does a German suplex on the monster that's next to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
I wonder how this works for missions like Battle Lines Drawn, where you cannot set up a unit anywhere else later on. I have to read that later. I don't think they interact
Interesting,
in any
actually.
way. Yeah.
It says remove, right? Cannot be removed in
Yes.
place in the battlefield again.
Yes.
So
And
I
you have to set it
actually
up.
would I would actually rule that it doesn't work. But what I like about this is that they don't lose much by not being able to do this because it's not like you're sacrificing a unique slot for this, right?
Yeah.
You can just choose to do this. And if you can't do this, you have other stuff you can do.
Yeah. So one thing I really like about this is, okay, besides the monster being dealt D3 mortal wounds, you also subtract 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by the unit carrying out this monster's rampage.
Yeah.
I think the flavor of this is you're using both hands to grab him and repositioning you to your repositioning in order to be able to hit the guy will probably take a little bit of time. So
Yeah.
I really like this one. It's really strong. It allows you to basically move a monster that you're fighting into position, maybe either 3 inches within another Mega Gargant or outside it, which allows them to respond with another monster's rampage.
Yeah. And exactly, right? So let's say one Mega Gargant's ahead. He got the charge, but the others stayed behind, right? They all ran up. They all ran and couldn't get the charge. So what you could do is theoretically you could grab Maw Crusher, right? Let's say a Maw Crusher. Grab the
Yeah.
Maw Crusher, move him directly behind, and you knowing how big all your bases are, it's probably gonna
Yeah.
be within 3 inches already of those Mega Gargants that
Oh,
just
man.
ran up, right? That's pretty insane.
No, absolutely. I think it would be extremely satisfying to suplex Nagash or Archeon or a Mangler Twig.
Oh god, Nagash, that scrawny nerd. Oh fuck that, right?
That's Crony Nerd, absolutely. I'm trying to think of like other monsters, what repositioning would mean for them. But yeah,
Okay,
I
so
think that go.
I actually think this would also do really well against Suns players. So I guess this is GW's way of answering the meta. Like let the Suns player fight amongst themselves. Like
Oh,
right?
they're using the Fire Force mentality, that anime where you fight fire with more fire.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Exactly right there. So
So
I
yeah,
can imagine if a dude had 2 Mega Gargants on an objective and you have 2 Mega Gargants on the objective, how can you tilt this to your favor without having to kill somebody, right? So you just grab that 1 Mega Gargant and yeet him outside the objective.
actually, that's crazy. You get to move them out of objectives, and
Yeah.
now one of the challenges that people have when fighting Gargants before was if you put them like in a triangle, you usually just want to engage them one at a time because engaging more than one Gargant is suicide. But if the
Yeah,
Mega
exactly.
Gargant is very crafty, he could position them in such a way, like space them out in such a way that you could suplex the monster to be in between all 3 Mega Gargants, and you're just gonna have a good time.
Yes, exactly. You'll have -1 to hits, but the others won't.
Yes, they won't, and that brings us to our next Monsters Rampage, which it actually which supplements this very well. It's Beast Grapple. I think that if you
Yeah.
suplex him into another Mega Gargant and then he grapples it on a 3+, both monsters gain strike last. I think this is actually so thematic and interesting.
It's really good because like what you said, if you combo this, suplex it in between three guys. The other
Yeah.
guy beast grapples it, fights last. The
Yeah.
other one can Titanic duel it.
Yeah.
Now, the one fighting first is gonna be either the Titanic dueled one or the one that has -1 to hit. Now, the guy Titanic dueling does not need to all out attack anymore. The guy with the -1 to hit can all out attack.
That's
And then
true.
the last one is gonna fight last. But since it's your active turn, you still fight first before that one monster, right?
You know what? Oh yeah, you're right. That's really that's messed up.
Yeah, that's the perfect world scenario where I see where everything goes right. Because in the end, you still need to roll a 3 up for the grapple and a 3 up for the suplex, right? So yeah.
Yeah, but absolutely flavorful. One of the things I love about this is that there's a trade-off. It's not just a net benefit. You get a
Yeah.
-1 to hit on one, and you also get strike last on the other. Very
Yeah.
flavorful, and it's actually like you have to do a cost benefit analysis. It's not just straight up win-win, you know.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
okay, the
'Cause
last
I could
one. Oh,
sorry,
sorry. Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Before we continue also, I could see a world because I can also see a world where fighting last, even though you're grappling a monster, can still
Mhm.
hurt you if you're engaged with multiple things. Like after you make a charge, you grab the monster, it fights last. Let's say
Yeah.
you have let's say he grabs the Glotkin, it fights last. But there's 20 Blight Kings next to it, or 10
Wow.
Blight Kings next to it, then yeah, you're fighting last and you're still getting wailed
What
on
a
on your turn.
specific scenario, Nico.
Of course, yeah.
I know, Nurgle boy over here. So, okay, the last monsters rampage that they added is Earth-Shaking Roar. So you have to make a bravery check, and if you can beat their bravery, a single model flees.
Oh god.
So, um,
It's not a single model. I think it's one model per point that goes past its bravery. And
okay, yeah.
it only works on models with 3 wounds or less. So you can't do it on like 5 wound cavalry because that would be pretty dumb, right?
Actually, it's 2 wounds or less, not
2
3 wounds or
wounds or
less.
less.
Yeah, yeah,
There
two
you
wounds or
go.
less.
So that's actually
Yeah,
pretty good. That's actually pretty fair. You can make Grots run away. If you roll a 12, that's 6 Grots, right?
yeah, I know. GW really needed to answer the Grot meta. It was really painful. So, Grot Skaven players, I'm sorry this exists. Though there is an argument to be made that stomping them, like, can you imagine two Mega Gargants hugging your units, stomp, and then followed up by this? That would be devastating.
And then wailing. I,
And then
I,
actually attacking.
it seems a bit overkill, though. It's just, they don't
Yeah,
even the old book could have dealt with Grots. I'm sorry, but it could have dealt with Grots already without this. But
I agree.
let's put it in a more realistic scenario though. This is actually really strong, I would argue, especially against Stormcast Eternals. Their bravery is pretty average. It's not the best, right?
Yeah.
So
Imagine rolling. I guess so. Yeah.
yeah, so exactly right. Imagine going against
Hmm.
the Vindictors. They're pretty tough, right? I mean, they're not the toughest thing in their army, but they're still pretty expensive. A unit of 10. You
Ah,
scream, let's say you yell and you roll like a 12 and they have a bravery of 7, right?
I don't
How
think you
many
roll 2d6 here. I think you just roll a d6.
I don't think you can beat anybody's bravery with just a D6.
Grots and Scale. You know what? Let me Google this real quick on the side. We need
Yeah,
to
I think it's still
see whether it's
2d6.
2d6 or it should be. In theory, it's 2d6. That's the only sane way they could have written this. But
Yes.
Earth Shaking Roar, Sons of Behemat, because we need some Googles.
Damn it, Patrick.
Uh,
Why wasn't this on the presentation?
okay, it says on Reddit, you roll 2d6, subtract enemy bravery, and the results number of. Okay, that's really good. So if you roll a 12, then what's 4 or 5 Stormcast run away? That's pretty big.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's what I was saying. You just basically force them to run away before you even get into combat.
GW really hates the Horde meta, but okay, that's wild. I think
Yeah.
Death is the only army that is not super afraid of this, I guess.
Also, demons. Chaos demons are fine with this.
Demons.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so that's enough for monsters rampages. Let's move on to the next part. Command
Oh,
traits. So there are 3 options for universal command traits for Megagarg for say, Sons of Behemat, but
yeah.
each tribe will also come with 2 each. The first one is
Okay.
Rabble Rouser. which adds +1 to charge rolls for all Gargants wholly within 18 inches of the Mega Gargant.
Yeah.
So massive base, massive bubble. Furious Temper is the next one. Once per game, you count as being top bracket, like the monster command ability from last year, Feral Roar.
Okay. Which really helps because that also does not only affect combat, but even how many models they count on an objective, right? When it comes to
Yes.
conquering objectives. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think that is definitely the use for that. So it's very interesting. I think this is very niche though. I'm not a big fan of once per game stuff that's not as impactful, especially since Gargants have less attacks now. But
Yeah.
okay, the last one is a returning one from the previous book, Monstrously Tough, which gives you 5 extra wounds. Rather than 35, you generally have 40 wounds. Nothing else to say about that. It's what it is.
I can't remember. Was this taken a lot back in the day?
It wasn't the optimal one, I think, but it was pretty good. It depends on which tribe you're in. When I wanted to play a chill game, I just take Monstrously Tough, so I didn't have to think too much.
That's true. I think it's okay, but I don't think it's the best necessarily because Suns isn't like the most defensive army, so they take a lot of damage. But they just have a really high wound density count. So 5 wounds, I guess it can save a Gargant from death. We've had games where we've reduced Gargants to just 1 HP, right? So that
That's
could make
true.
a difference.
No, it definitely would. But it's not very exciting as a command ability. It's it's a low floor, easy accessible command ability, so that's cool. So let's go to artifacts next. These are the generic artifacts. I think the tribes have their own, but let's find out. So
That's
extra
interesting because we
callous
thought
feet.
also. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty interesting that even the tribes have their own sub artifacts because we all thought they were gonna get rid of these sub factions with the artifacts, and they were just going for
Let's
more generic take.
let's find out together if that's still true or not. I think they do, but I could be wrong. So
Yeah.
extra calloused feet. So it gives you extra stomping attacks,
Okay.
an extra attack, and -3 rend, changing the damage to flat 3 instead of D3. That's
Really good.
interesting. That's okay. Yeah, rend 3, having a dependable rend 3 attack, depending on what kind of Gargant you are, is pretty good. Scavenger's
Extra
Weight.
attack and 3 damage. That's I think that's pretty decent actually.
Yeah. Scavenger's Wake lets you roll a die for each model in the unit, and on a 4+ deal a mortal wound, but once per game. So it's a horde breaker. It's okay.
It's great against Grots, right?
It's great against Grots, I know. So instead of getting a book, a Gloomspite book, they got a book that was good against Gloomspite. So that's very sad. Glowy Shield of Protectiveness is an interesting book. It reduces the rend of rend 1 attacks to 0. And any 6s to save, it deals mortal wounds back.
I think this is really good.
Yeah.
I actually think this is genuinely good, but the amount of stuff DW has been giving rend to all these small things. Chaos Warriors have rend now, Blight Kings have rend now. And with all that wound density,
yep,
it's gonna hurt you. There's so many chances to hurt you back, eh?
Yeah. So another really interesting thing about this is even if your opponent has like rend 3 or rend 4 or whatever ridiculous rend number, even if you cannot save anymore, you still roll the saving throw because any unmodified rolls of 6s will deal mortal wounds back.
Yeah, just like the bucklers of the Witch Elves, you still roll 6s.
Yep. So that's an interesting trick for the bucklers, what else has that? The Ogre Maw tribes also have that. They some of the Morn fan pack, I believe. Yeah, the Spike Fists. They give 6s to mortal wound back. Blood Warriors do. So yeah, that's an interesting trick. Next, the Amberstone Totem. It allows the bearer to run in charge. It's
very good also. Very good. I would see why people would take this.
Yeah, if you want to do like an alpha striking Mega Gargant, then this is pretty good. You auto run it for 6. It moves like 16 to 17 inches, or I guess 18, depending on the Gargant that you have, and then you just charge.
Yeah, it also helps, I guess, if your enemy doesn't have any way to alpha strike you, he moves up a bit, then you're there. You're basically there already if he moves up a bit to you. I think this is also pretty decent if people don't take Kragnos with the Sun's army, because that's what we've been seeing sometimes, right? Kragnos and 2 Gargants to get across the board almost immediately.
Yeah, I think okay, yeah, that's true. I think recently what I've been seeing too is 2 gate breakers, a cron spine, and a bunch of man crushers, which is also
Yeah.
really annoying. Actually, no, it's 3 gate breakers and a cross spine, which is hilariously terrifying, actually.
The gate breakers are the strong ones, right? Those are like the more offensive ones.
Yes, they hit on 4s though, and with the cron spine, you can give them all +1 to hit because if you give it all out attack, it buffs everyone around it.
That's true, and now you can't even retreat from them now.
Yep. But
Because
yeah,
of the
this is
buff.
what we got. So that's Amber's Bone Totem, and it's kind of cool. I like 2 of the out of the 4 artifacts so far. Uh, I think that the Glowy Shield and the Amber Bone are more versatile.
Yeah.
Scavenger's Wake is the weakest one for me. Extra Callous Feet is okay. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not.
I mean,
All right.
if it's an artifact, you can always get more. There are ways to get more than one artifact. I would actually rather take I would actually take the rend reduction artifact, the glowing shield thingy, whatever you call that. I would rather take the shield, and then if I could give a
Yep.
second artifact for free, I'd take the feet, the calloused feet.
You like the DPS from that?
It's extra damage. I can't argue with that. I mean, the main thing that we always talked about was how swingy the damage could be sometimes, and it just solidifies 3 rend, 3 damage straight, right?
Right.
With
Okay.
an extra attack.
Okay. No, yeah, it would be. It would be interesting.
Oh yeah, let's move on to
Especially now that
tribes.
Gargants have less attacks, but we'll see that later. So
Yeah,
all right.
we'll check later.
Now let's move on to the sub factions of the tribes. So each tribe comes with its own unique battle traits, 2 command traits, and 2 artifacts.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
new tribe to be added, the Beast Smasher Gargant tribe, and a new rule that's very. Sorry, no. So the tribe that you have is still determined based on your general. Like if you have a Kraken Eater general, then your tribe is the Taker tribe. You
Yeah.
can't like be the Taker tribe if you have a Gatebreaker general, etc. If
Yeah.
King Broad is your only Mega Gargant, then you don't benefit from any of the tribe's abilities. So you want to have if you have King Broad, you also want to have other Mega Gargants to be the general.
Is King Broad a War Master? Sorry, before we continue.
I think he is, but we'll get into him later, I think.
Okay.
But I think he is a War Master. So
Okay.
2 battle traits that came back is the main reason that Taker Tribe was so popular early in 3rd edition, which is that instead of being counting as 10, your Man Crushers count as 15. And
Mhm.
your Mega Gargants would count as 30 before. But now,
Yeah.
instead of that, you only increase how much they count as by 5. The wording makes a lot of sense in the context that now the number of models that you count as degrades over damage. So
Yeah.
so now you count as 25 at your peak for a
I
Mega
can
Gargant.
I can see how this is still annoying because since did Man Crushers always count as 15 before in Taker Tribe?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, you just take 3 Man Crushers, put them on the objective. That's what 45
Yeah.
models of it already.
Yep. So it's actually very good. This is one of the popular ones before the Gatebreaker meta. That was before like Iron Jaws, Stormcast, and Nurgle came in and basically passed DPS checks.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing that they changed next was I want that for my collection. It used to give triumphs, which was very very niche, and now it's a command ability that gives +1 to damage when Man Crushers attack a leader holding an artifact or is a unique character.
I like this.
That's really good.
It's so fun. It sounds very fun to use. Like, oh
Yeah.
look, it's Techless over there.
Yeah. So
Layla.
you wail on it, you get 3 Man Crushers, you do Titanic Duo for the +1 to hit, and then you give I want that for me collection to give them +1 damage. So they do D6 +1 sorry, 5 damage with their headbutts, I think, and then 3 damage each with their clubs to Techless.
Oh god, that
It's
poor nerd.
that poor
Poor
nerd. No, I swear to God. I swear to God, Man Crushers are like the star of the show, like the breakaway hits for this book. And I can't wait to see the other ones.
I
So
can't wait to see someone use this on. I'm sorry to
on
say this.
Duel.
I can't wait to see someone use this on Scragrod just for fun. He doesn't even. I don't need it. 4
On
points
other
save this bitch.
Oh my God. That's actually so gross. I can also see this killing Nagash pretty quickly, hilariously enough.
Yeah, no, that's true. Even Archeon. No, well, I mean, old
So,
Archeon would pretty be scared about this, but the new one, not so much.
For context, today was the day a massive Slaves to Darkness leak came out. We're not going to talk about that. Maybe in a different video. Maybe. But
Maybe.
Archeon got massive buffs, and I don't think he's as funny anymore. He's serious now.
no
So-
one's laughing now.
Except you just laughed. But you're right.
Yeah,
So
true.
okay,
True.
command traits. Very acquisitive returns. So it's very popular. It lets you get an extra artifact, which is always nice.
Yep.
And
Well,
extremely intimidating is drastically different. Rather than granting -1 to hit in combat, it shuts off rally and inspiring presence within 6 inches.
I
So-
actually think it was a bit too much.
See, that's the funny thing. So a little spoiler for later is that all the Gargants or Mega Gargants, sorry, all the Mega Gargants get now have terror, which prevents inspiring presence and rally within 3 inches.
Yeah.
Sorry, inspiring presence, I guess, because you can't rally within 3 already. So this basically just extends the range of that aura by 3, and I find it to be less interesting because you already have a mechanic that allows you to do that. It basically
yeah. No, that's
punishes.
true.
Yeah, it punishes units that can only retreat like 4 inches or 3 inches or whatever.
You know what? You're right. It seemed a bit redundant to have it within 3 inches that blocked rally because you couldn't really rally back then if you're within 3, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
2 artifacts
weird.
pop out. Walloping Tentacle, much better than before. So on the 4+, it deals D3 mortal wounds rather than rerolling ones to hit. It also gets strike last.
That could come in handy. You're after the strike last and not the 4 up mortal wound, right?
Yeah. It's okay.
It's not amazing. It's not amazing. It's a 50-50. It's 4 up.
I think it's good in the context that Gargants have less attacks, but you're right. It's not amazing. We could be wrong though. This video could age poorly.
Okay. I'll put it in context where if I ran into this against the Gargant,
Sure.
when do you do this? On a 4 up. I'm guessing you do it on the hero phase. Does it say so?
No. So you deal D3 mortal wounds and you give your opponent strike last. This is in combat.
So it's in combat.
Yes.
So this is count as an attack also, or do you roll this at the start of combat?
I think it counts during activation.
Oh, okay. Then that changes things up a bit because I was thinking if there's a way to activate this, on your opponent's turn, then he gets to fight last. Then that's pretty interesting. If this is happening, but if it happens after activation or during activation, then your opponent gets to wail on you first, nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
No, I think
okay.
so too. That makes it. Yeah, let's see how people come up with how to use this. That's interesting.
I can still see a world where it's still pretty good. Like I said, if you're not fighting
Hmm.
a monster-heavy army like Stormcast Eternals, if it's just a bunch of small guys in cavalry, you can tentacle one guy during the activation. Since you can't grapple him anymore, since he's not a monster, right? You can still
Yeah.
use it to make him fight last, and the other Gargants can wail on him.
Yeah, it's ideal when you have 2 Gargants charging in and
Yeah.
you are charging 2 different units. You can basically lightning reactions the dude. Or
Yeah, basically.
2 Gargants charging 1 unit, I mean, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, then we have Glowing Lantern. Glowy Lantern.
Yeah, Glowing Lantern is really interesting. It is different from before because it basically used to be an arcane tome.
Yeah.
In some way. But now the bearer can cast an endless spell, but at double the range. So you can cast Purple Sun at 16 inches away now.
Okay. My allowance for a couple of F-bombs. I fucking hate this one. It's because of the Purple Sun.
Yes, but the problem with this though, and I think this is going to be FAQ'd, is that it doesn't give the wizard trait, I believe. And this lantern only lets you cast endless spells, as opposed to an arcane tome, which lets you cast endless spells, arcane bolt, mystic shield.
Yeah.
So
Okay, that's interesting.
yeah, so I can imagine Ravanax being very interesting, I guess, with this or Purple Sun, but otherwise it's
Purple Sun after a
yeah,
practice
Purple Sun.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about Purple Sun though is dropping it 16 inches away is not. It's not mind blowing compared to dropping it 8 inches away for Gargants at least, because your primary damage is melee.
I'd
So
like to
yeah,
think that being able to drop it 16 inches away helps you position it behind the opponent when you're in melee range. Because 8 inches with the purple sun has such a big base, and when everything's in combat against if a Gargant is in combat with a big block, remember during our game you'd have to place it next to both of us, so it would also affect you. So having it cast at 16 inches, you can actually cast it past the unit, away from you, and at the unit alone.
you know what? That's true. I didn't think
That's what
about that.
I think. Yeah.
That's really messed up.
Yeah,
And
because
it still moves, right? So it moves like 24, I guess.
yeah, basically has a 24 effective range, basically. So
That's disgusting.
yeah, the it's very subtle, but speaking from experience, I've seen the practicality of taking the purple sun, how it can affect Gargants. Is that the base of the purple sun is so fat and it's so big, and 8 inches, it having to be wholly within 8 inches isn't a lot, actually.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's for the Taker tribe. 2 artifacts, 2 command traits. Interesting. I think they'll still be very good, but let's see what the other tribes have to say. Breaker
Yeah.
tribe. The Breaker tribe is a tribe that's led by gate breakers.
Yep.
Breaking down houses works the same as before. +1 damage against units that are garrisoned or wholly on terrain feature. So KO ships, I
KO.
guess. KO ships.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that didn't
Exactly.
change. Their other trait, Fierce Loathings, gives an army-wide bonus that you choose during the list construction. It gives you +1 to hit against a certain unit type. They hate either heroes/wizards, totems or units with any command models, or war machines/monsters.
Yeah.
So pick it based on the meta, I guess.
I still find the whole part where you get to like just wreck KO inside their own ships and stuff.
No,
It's not like
it's
they
really
needed it
hilarious.
anyway.
They did not. And the thing is, though, Man, this was weird. I don't know, though. Oh. Oh, it gives Man Crusher Gargants this ability, not other stuff. That's interesting.
Mm. Yeah, something I noticed with your command abilities is it only works on Man Crushers now. It's just
Yeah.
basically them sharing their own abilities to the Man Crushers.
Yeah, it sounds like the Man Crushers are getting increased damage based on the context of the situation.
Yep, basically.
Like from last time, it was against heroes with artifacts or unique units, and now it's garrison stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah. There's a
Plus
whole
one hit
theme
against,
going on here.
yeah. So next, the command ability that you can give them though for the Man Crushers this time
Ramming
is
speed.
ramming speed. So
Oh
you can
god.
now do a 3d6 charge. This used to be a command trait, I think, from the older book. Could be wrong. But now you can give 3d6 charge to a unit. So yeah.
It's like Kragnos. It's like having a Kragnos in your army. For the Man Crushers. Just the Man Crushers.
So the disadvantage I see with this one is that you get a 3d6 charge, but because you use it in the charge phase, you can't use forward to victory anymore.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, if you're
yeah.
yeah, it's a trade-off, right? Would you rather have rerolls or would you rather have 3d6 charge, I guess?
Yeah, so with the ability to run on top of charging for Man Crushers, this makes the army surprisingly mobile, but also very prone to overextending, which is a different type of risk that top level Gargant players have to play around.
Mm. Also, I can see a
Yeah.
strategy where they just throw a block of 3, a unit of 3 Mega Gargants
Yeah.
at the opponent turn 1, and Gargants sit on the objective, and they'll basically do what I do when I play Nurgle. They lock you in your own territory while the Gargants just kick the objectives backward and make it impossible for you to keep up.
Yeah. No,
I can see them.
I see that. I can see
Yeah.
that. It's a very annoying strategy, but well, that's for us to try and play around.
Yep.
Okay. 2 command traits. Extremely Bitter. It allows you to pick a second Fierce Loathings. So that's good for if you want your army to have +1 to hit against more opponents, which is yeah. If you're not satisfied with only hurting heroes and wizards, totems and units, and war machines and monsters, then this is a pretty decent one, I guess.
Second
Alternatively,
fierce target giving you. Okay. Okay.
yeah. Sees Red
I'm
is a
sorry.
command.
Oh, sorry. Extremely bitter. Let's work on. I'm sorry. The fierce loathings. This also works as monsters. No, you can also pick monsters.
Yes, it's war machines or monsters, heroes or wizards, or totems and units, or units with command traits or models. So it's either you hate leaders, you hate things with flags that inspire people, or you hate big stuff.
Okay, so I can actually a quick transition. I can actually see this people taking this just because if they pick monsters, then suddenly it offsets all the -1 to hits when they use the the suplex, the German suplex ability.
No, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think fierce loathings to monsters is in my to war machines monsters is my pick, but it depends on your local meta, I guess.
Yeah, it does. I mean, if everyone's taking Suns right now, then I guess this is really good.
Yeah. Actually, if you're oh, no, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second command trait, though, is Seize Red. It allows them to use the top row of their damage table regardless of wounds suffered, as long as they're within 3 inches of defensible terrain or an enemy unit that's wholly within a terrain feature. Really, really
Niche.
situational.
Very
Yeah.
niche. I would not take this.
Not my favorite, especially if you're in a meta that doesn't favor a lot of terrain, or if you're in a scene that doesn't have a lot of terrain or doesn't care much for terrain.
Oh look, that single skink priest in the temple. I'm I'm fighting a top bracket just to kill that thing.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I would even take the universal ones over this. But
I would.
who knows?
It's true.
Maybe in the future we'll have a garrison meta and we'll be, eating our words.
Oh god.
Okay.
Gatebreakers.
Next, 2 artifacts. The Great Rekka and the King Slaughter Cowl. The Great Rekka makes it so that you do D3 mortal wounds in addition to damage for 6s to hit for the 4th.
Oh god. That's scary.
Yeah. So
That's
if
scary.
however, in addition to normal damage, and the latter adds 1 to all wound. Oh, sorry, wait, that's the next one already. This would have been really scary in the first incarnation because there were like 10 attacks, but now
10
there's
attacks,
like maybe
yeah.
4 or 5 attacks. So
What
this
was-
is less
what was
scary,
it
but still
before?
really good.
What was it before?
Huh?
10 attacks, D3 damage each, or was it 10 attacks, 2 damage each?
No, it used to be 10 attacks, 4 damage each.
No. I mean,
For
no, I
the
think
Gatebreaker.
really? I thought it was 3, and then you just flaming weaponed it up to 4 back in the day.
Oh, sorry, I think it was 3. Yeah, you're right. It was 3, but it was
Yeah.
Ren 3, so it was terrifying.
God damn. And then D3 on top of that. This is like Gotrek, I guess.
It is pretty gross, yeah. So the second artifact, however, makes it so that you add 1 to wound rolls for all attacks against enemy heroes. So if you think the guys will be dueling a lot, then this one's okay, I guess.
If you're in a meta where in your local scene where people bring very key units, key heroes, then yeah, it's pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, as of the time of the recording, we're still in Galay, and big pieces and heroes still do quite a lot in our local scene.
Alario,
Pretty
the Magus
solid.
Lords.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Maggot Lords, Maw Crushers.
If you want to pick out if you want a oh no, that's not a hero. Okay. I guess if you want to pick out key heroes also, let's say Gardos, if you're fighting against Stormcast Eternals, it helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's pretty niche actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's move on next to the Smasher Tribe. So we've discussed the 2 artifacts there. Smasher Tribe. This is the one,
new one.
that used to. This is the new one. Yeah. So your Man Crushers gain Bone Crushing Strike when they're within 3 inches of enemy monsters. You can swap your normal attacks for a single attacks that do 4d6 damage instead of their normal 1 or 2 damage. 2 damage.
I'm curious. Sorry, what's the rend of a normal Man Crusher attack right now? Rend 1, Rend 2.
It's Rend 1, I believe.
Okay, so I just imagine. Hey Lance, hey fuck you Lance. Here's one singular attack with 1 rend, and then you roll a 1 to save, and you just take 4d6 damage. And that's from a Man Crusher Guardian.
That's pretty gross, actually.
Wait, so you can only swap. Wait, wait. So only 1 Man Crusher Guardian can do this. In a unit of 3, can only 1 do this?
No. No, all of them can. So what I think is really good with this ability is if your Man Crushers are tabled. If your Man Crushers, okay, I don't know if Man Crushers get tabled now. We haven't gone there yet. But if your man crushers are super table to have like piss like a few attacks left, then this is a good all or nothing.
I think if if you do this to a unit of 3 man crusher gargants, so all of them you have 3 attacks each. You have 3 attacks then total. That
Yeah.
I do 4d6 each. That
Yeah, if you
sounds
do
broken.
4, you do 4 damage though.
But that's 3 instances of 4d6. I mean,
If they all go through, there's still 3s to hit, 3s to wound, rend 1, and then they have to
oh
roll.
god,
It's
that's
so
disgusting.
swingy.
Wait, I'm trying to read. I'm looking for the article here where it says 1 man crusher gargant can do this. But I guess we'll find out when we get the actual book. I don't know.
Why would it? Well, it's to 1 unit. Oh, by the way, one thing to note, by the way, if you're playing against Suns, is only the general can issue these commands, I believe. The ones for the Smasher, the I know. Oh, for let's see. Is it only the general for I want that for me collection? No, it's just for this one, it seems. For the Smasher Tribe, only the general can issue this.
Keeping my monsters away from my unit of 3 man crushers then.
Okay. Yeah. So next, your Smasher General can take one of 2 command traits. Sees Green, which gives a 4+ against mortal wounds, not normal wounds, once per game for 1 phase. That's really interesting if you think your opponent is on like their Wa turn or they're throwing all the stops out, destroyer artifact. Oh no, that's mortal wounds. Never mind.
Mortal wounds only. So I could see people doing this against Zinch, I guess, in the Zinch meta.
Yes.
In the
Yeah,
hero
this is
phase.
good into hero phase. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Or shooting if you're going to get set Lumineth, right? If they do what do you call that?
Power of Fish.
Power of Heat. Yes, if they do
Yes,
that.
they basically do their Sentinel volleys. I like
Yeah.
the second one though, Marrow Drinker, which allows the general to heal wounds after killing an enemy monster. So you roll the dice equal to the number of enemy monsters' wounds characteristic, and you heal 5+ per. You heal 1 wound per 5+. So if you kill another Mega Gargant, you roll 35 dice.
And okay, yeah, no, I can see why this is actually pretty decent if you're going for monster hunting, right?
Yes.
I killed Glotkin, I rolled 20 dice. I killed the Maw Crusher, and the Maw Crusher killed a lot of things in this game. So now he has what, like 25 wounds?
Yeah. I can see this
Okay.
being absolutely useless or something absolutely amazing.
I mean, if you're up against like Stormcasts who don't bring monsters, then it's absolutely useless.
Okay. That's wild. Okay.
Good against Beastclaw Raiders, actually.
Actually, yeah, that would be so nuts against Stonehorns. But they're gonna
Yeah.
get a buff next month, so let's see what happens.
Let's see, because usually in an army that brings a singular big monster, if your monster dies pretty early to a Gargant, you don't really need the heals because the game's pretty much downhill from there already. But if it's against an army with multiple things, like a Mammoth Lord or a Beastclaw Raiders, then it could be good.
Yeah. So, okay, let's move on to the artifacts.
The
For
Shatter.
relics, you have the Shatterer. It makes it so that if you roll an unmodified wound roll of 6 to wound against a hero, monster, or war machine, the target's armor is shattered and can no longer gain any benefits from positive modifiers like all-out defense or mystic shield or anything like that.
All right, that's my third F-bomb for today. But yeah, god damn, dude. Shit.
So it's very swingy. So there's a solid chance you don't roll a 6 to hit because I think the Beast Smasher Tribe has like 3 attacks for the club. So it's situational. And I can imagine this obviously being useless against Nighthawk, but amazing against like let's say the Griffin General for Cities of Sigmar, which has natural +3 stave stacking if you kit him out correctly.
It's absolutely useless against Nighthaunt because
Yeah.
if it's a hero, you don't even need to reduce their modifiers because they're fucking dead by that already.
Yeah. Against an earlier incarnation of Slaves to Darkness, this would have also been really good.
I actually think this is good against an incarnate in a way.
Would be good against Archeon, and other units that rely on that have low wounds but good saves.
Yeah. Even you, Archeon, still pretty good because you don't want him saving on 2s and having a 5-up ward save now.
Yeah, not just that, but it just means that your rend is the only way to interact with it. And I think these guys rend 3. So all 3+ saves become like a 6-up save.
It's gross. I mean, against Nurgle is really good, actually. It's actually very good against Nurgle. Also, just because that I could survive 5d6 damage because I could ward save that. But then again, I'm stuck with a 4-up save now forever, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah. So he's pushing my mortal. You're pushing my ward saves.
Okay. So Mantle of Tusks and Horns, it gives all of your Sons of Behemat models on the table +1 to hit with melee attacks for 1 combat phase. This is basically like a Wattern.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. No, I like it. I really like it, and it's basically for an army that's really aggressive. You get the command trait that lets you run and charge, and everything around you is charging. You use this. It can be very oppressive to fight an army of Gargants that will, if at full health, most likely survive a clapback. So all of them getting that +1 to hit is going to be very big.
Sorry, all Gargants and not just
The
beast.
general.
Beast.
Yes,
No,
all
no.
Gargants. All Sons of
All
Behemoth
Gargants.
units on the table.
Okay, so I can see where you take. I can see a world where somebody would take the new Gargant, the Beast Killer Gargant.
Yeah.
They take that as a general. They take the subfaction, and they take multiple gate breakers who hit on 4s, and now they're hitting on 3s at the same time together now because of the +1 to hits.
Yeah. I think it's really good and interesting. It basically Iron Jaws except big.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. It's not game breaking, but it could be, I guess, if people use it properly.
Yeah. I think the tribe is interesting. I think it's a bit niche, but only time will tell whether or not a new monster meta is going to come back.
Yep. I hope not, but yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. All right, Stomper tribe. This is where a lot of interesting changes have happened because this tribe used to be characterized by only specializing in man crushers. They've given that out to everyone, so let's see what they got. Big shouts. It allows your general to issue the same command to any number of man crusher units in range. So it's like the Iron Jaws ability, where you can issue it to multiple units, but for this it's just man crushers. So you can apt double all your man crushers and then have them all run in charge if they're within 12 of like a mega gargant, if that's still the rule.
This is kind
Or
of
all of them
focused
can get
on
all up attack.
this is kind of focused on a single like a kind of army where you take one mega gargant and you just take everything else is just all man crushers.
Yeah, and the triple redeploy is now possible with this.
It's not?
It is. It's now possible
It is.
if you
Oh,
give
okay.
it to all man crushers. Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be pretty interesting to fight against the Suns list that only has one mega gargant and everything else is man crushers. I would like to see that. Be a breath of fresh air, actually.
Yeah, it's like they reduced the points of man crushers from 475, I think, or 470 to 450. So each man crusher is now 150 points. You could basically spam man crushers and play Stomper Tribe. I don't know how good that's gonna be. It's interesting though.
Yeah, I'd
So
like to see it. I'd like to see someone try to make it work.
okay, so now they also have a command ability called Grab Those Rocks and Chuck them. It gives +1 attack when throwing rocks. So one of the interesting things and good things that they did with this book is man crushers now have the throwing rocks on their profile rather than as a one man crusher unit can use this ability during the shooting phase.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
this one gives them +1
making that.
attacks. So it's pretty awesome.
Yay, GW! We giving the strongest army more shooting.
Yay.
Yay!
They're also much better now at dealing damage to hordes because GW hates grots. So man crushers now get +1 damage to enemy units that are 10 to 19 models and 2 damage to 20 plus unit enemy models. So
I would
yeah,
argue
enemy model
also.
units rather.
I'd actually argue that it's not just anti-horde, but the fact that a lot of armies, a lot of units can be reinforced up to a lot of elite stuff can be reinforced up to 10. I like to reinforce my Blight Kings up to 10. JP, a good friend of ours, likes to reinforce protectors up to 10. And this adds damage to it. It's a good way to do the initial crack for the 10-man block, actually.
That's true. It also makes it so that you have to be a bit more careful about where you chuck your rocks or if you stomp. Because you want to do this before you do any other damage.
Yeah, that's exactly true. You want, because while there's 10 of them, you want to maximize how much you can put, how many +1 damage can you put, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
not bad. It's actually pretty decent. I would argue this is actually really good just because everything now has like 10 models.
Yeah, pretty much. Interesting for Gale, I guess, but only time will tell if this is going to be relevant next season.
We'll see the meta, yeah.
Okay, so we have two command traits: Inescapable Grip, allowing you to reroll both dice used for hurled body, and Eager for a Fight, which gives a 3d6 charge. Inescapable Grip complements an ability that War Stomper Mega Gargants have, where they pick up a model from the ground and they chuck him at a different unit, which requires that you roll above the wound I think double the wound characteristic, and then you need to roll a 4+ to deal D3 mortal wounds to a unit that's on the other side. I don't know if they've changed that, but this allows you to guarantee to have a much easier time
Almost
doing it.
guaranteed, yeah.
Almost, yeah. Unless you don't
It's pretty
roll well.
decent. I mean, you're already doing a lot of damage. You're plucking up a model automatically, and then you're chucking it back at somebody else for extra damage. It's really good. I would argue that you don't lose anything from taking this or from giving this.
Yeah. You can also get Eager for a Fight, which lets you charge 3d6. I think that this is not a good early game ability because you'll be put out of position, but it allows you to pin people down. You don't want your general out of position so much. I think this is a good late game command trait because a couple of your Mega Gargants or Man Crushers would be dead, and you need to chase someone across the board. Eager for a Fight lets you come back if you're alive.
Especially when people start teleporting around the map also.
Oh god, yeah, that's freaking annoying. So yeah, those are the command traits. And now let's go to artifacts. Club of the First Oak. This came back from the last time. It lets you heal 1 wound in your own hero phase, and gives you a 5-up ward as long as you have 25 wounds or 25 or more wounds allocated to it.
No.
It's weird, man. It's weird.
No, that's a Nurgle thing. Why'd they give it a Nurgle thing? That's not fair.
It's only if you're
I can have
dying,
5
though.
ward saves.
Only if you're dying.
But
So
25 wounds? Wait, no.
no,
As it has
no.
no.
If you have 25 wounds allocated to it,
So you'd have 10 wounds left?
10 wounds left. Yeah.
I could see how this can get pretty clutch.
I don't like it very much. If it requires that I'm getting my ass kicked in order for it to work, I don't want it.
Wait. So you're healing 1 every turn, right? 1 every round?
No, once every round because it's only during your hero phase.
Okay, so I find this hilarious situation where you're down to 10 wounds, right? So you have 25 wounds allocated to you. You have a 5-up ward save. You're feeling great and confident. And then suddenly, you heal that 1 wound on your turn, and now you don't have a 5-up ward save.
Oh
and now
no!
they can one-shot you with 11 damage.
Yeah, you know what? That situation just completely turned me off from this artifact. I don't want it. It's so dumb. It's so niche. And keeping your opponent at 10 HP just to troll them like that is so cruel. Oh my god. I don't like it anymore. Let's move on to the next one. Mantle the Destroyer. It gives a bravery 10 for all Sons of Behemat units. It is, I guess, good for Man Crushers because Man Crushers actually have low bravery. Last time it was like 7. So if you kill 1 or 2 of them and there's a bravery bomb effect, then they could run. It's possible.
I actually don't think it's needed because if their bravery is 7, you kill 2 Man Crushers. That's you need to roll a 6 for the other one to run.
Yeah. The
The
only reason I think this is interesting is that a typical Mega Gargant has like bravery 7 or 8 at most, and it allows you to heroic recovery a lot more consistently.
Let's see later on if this will be good, useful, because for all we know, maybe the Man Crusher's bravery went down to 6, and then I could get why they need it.
Yeah, maybe. But I still like it for heroic recovery, but it's still niche compared to all the other awesome artifacts we saw.
Wait, I'm sorry, before I continue.
Yeah, what's up?
Can a unit of 3 Gargants rally? Like,
yes.
Okay. Alright, let's continue.
Right. Yes. This game is very dumb. Games Workshop, please stop rallying from units 5 wounds or more. Okay. The battalions from the White Dwarf article have returned. Boss of the Stomp is almost mandatory. If you have 2 to 4 Mega Gargants, you can get an become a 1-drop or take an extra enhancement. Usually it's better to get the artifact.
Is it? You don't want to
Usually,
take it?
yeah. Yes, unless you're Taker tribe where you already have 2 artifacts and you just want
Yeah.
to be able to dictate, then this is a good synergy for that.
I actually. Oh, no, so you can relatively give just 3 artifacts, basically, to 3 things in a Taker Tribe army.
Yes. It's also possible for you to do Bosses of the Stomp twice, so you could have like 2 extra artifacts. So
I
if you have
would
4 Mega
act.
Gargants, you just do it twice.
That's true. I would actually rather take a 1-drop list, just because, personally speaking, just because I would like. Because if I take Taker Tribe, I already have 2 of my favorite artifacts. I don't know of a third artifact. I guess people would take Arcane Tome, so you'd have 2 wizards, basically,
Maybe.
effectively. Yeah,
Maybe.
pwede. Maybe. Master of Magic and then Master of Magic and then an Arcane Tome, so it almost guarantees your 16-inch your six no wait, no, you can't do that. Master of Magic and Glowing Lantern for that guaranteed 16-inch
Purple.
Purple
It's not
Sun.
guaranteed, by the way. You still have to roll for it, and you don't get bonuses, so it's kind of tough.
I guess, yeah, it's true.
It's not spell in the bottle, sadly.
Uh,
Okay. The next one is Foot Slagas. It's for 2 to
okay.
3 Man Crushers and a Mega Gargant. It either gives you
Oh,
1-drop or Swift. And obviously you want to take the 1-drop.
yeah, sorry, excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
1,000
Change
boxes. Yeah.
1,000 Foxes. Um,
This
yeah, not much to say about this. It's 1-drop for Man Crushers.
Okay, yeah, I can see tama. It says in the article that stuff that makes it like this, that makes it like it's swift. So giving it swift or 1-drop.
Yeah,
If the core rules change eventually, this will need to be FAQ'd.
I guess so. But yeah, for me, Core Battalion stayed relatively the same. Nothing too exciting for me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Broad
Grand
prevent.
Strat. Sorry, what?
Oh, sorry. Make the land tremble. Okay.
Yeah, so Grand Strats, make the land tremble. You have to simply run or charge with a unit every turn. I think
So
this
it's
was
either
kind of risky against armies that can tie you down, but it's very doable.
so the minute you don't charge or run with something, you just fail.
Yes.
Wait, does it say simply run or charge with the unit every turn? When it says
Yes.
charge, do you have to successfully make that charge?
Yes.
Oh, so if you fail a single charge, you just done.
Or if you can have single Man Crusher in the back, just running every turn, I guess, for the lulls. For 5 turns. I think
Wait,
this one looks easy, but deceptively tricky if the game goes down to the wire.
that's true. Because what if you're down to 1 Gargant in the last round or the last 2 rounds, and you're stuck in combat?
Yeah,
All you can do is retreat. You can't charge. You
exactly.
can't run. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And you
All
lose.
right. I wouldn't take this. I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
That's fair. Broad's Revenge is the next one. And he needs to have rolled all 3 of his prayers during the game.
We'll see that
So
later.
his prayers are always on a 3+, and you basically need to roll a 3+, 3 different times, and you need to cast chant each of his prayers at least once, regardless of context, I guess.
Well, the
Right?
rule you have 5 attempts, I guess, right? So
5 attempts, and if Broad kills a monster, I believe he gets to chant on the +1. So yeah,
all right, unless you have like erectile dysfunction, but we'll see.
I guess that's okay. On the warpath, it requires you to have all of your surviving units in the enemy territory at the end of the game.
Wait, sorry, before we continue, Lance, there's something on your camera over there, on your upper right corner. I'm
What?
not sure if you see your camera right now. I don't know. Is that normal?
What? What's wrong? Upper right?
You have like a faded gray spot on your on on my left. There you go. Oh, is that just normal?
Oh
Okay,
yeah, I
then
wiped it.
it's
It's probably just little dust. Thank you.
okay.
Didn't
It's
see
no
that.
problem.
Thank you. Okay. So on the warpath lets you basically your surviving units have to be in enemy territory. I don't like this in the universe where Realm
Yeah.
Stone Crash is a mission, so it's okay. It is. I think it's arguably, depending on the context of who you're fighting, better or worse than take what's theirs.
Yeah.
Showing whose boss is interesting. You just have to kill the
Requires
enemy model with the highest wound characteristic.
Okay, it can be risky also. It can be very risky.
Yeah, and you have to keep your general alive. So this is like a new version of Vendetta.
Oh, I actually think this is still pretty risky.
It is.
I could play the Glotkin,
Yeah,
and I could just simply just start like creaking garbage at you just to make sure that you never get the Glotkin.
pretty much. I actually think that of the four of these, I like Make the Land Tremble. I agree with the Goonhammer article. It's the goofiest one, but that's the one I think is
The most
with some.
achievable one.
It's the safest one if I had to pick a safe
Yeah.
one.
All right, I'm not much of a fan for Grand Strats because I rather not make it come down to Grand Strats, but
Yeah,
it
sometimes
does come in handy.
it makes or breaks though. So
Yeah, it does. It does. It definitely does.
okay, so
6 battle
battle
tactics.
tactics. There are six. So three of them, the That's Mine, Wrecking Crew, and Man Skittles are all back.
Man,
So
Skittles.
yeah, so That's Mine is you need to kick an enemy, an objective outside of your territory into your territory. Wrecking Crew is I think you need to destroy an enemy garrisonable terrain feature that they control, and Man Skittles is the one where you need to pick up an enemy model and hurl it at someone else. So each of those battle tactics are based off of each of the tribes for Taker, Breaker, and Stomper, respectively.
Okay, so suddenly that ability that lets you reroll the hurl body ability comes in handy because that can actually secure you a battle tactic.
Battle tactic, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when you're
That
out of
is
battle
one thing.
tactic.
Yeah, that is the thing that. Yeah, actually, that's true. Oh, could come in clutch.
That's the whole tactic. Yeah.
Yeah. Fury of the Titans, you need to carry out each of the three unique Sons of Behemat monsters rampages. So you need to roll 3+ twice and then roar.
I
Or not
love
roar.
this.
It's so risky. I don't like leaving
It's-
it to dice, but it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree. 3-ups are very much failed. Very much possible. That roar, the 2d6 to roll higher than their bravery is really hard to do also.
The thing is, you don't need to succeed in it.
Wait. That means you need the sons, you need carry out. When you say carry out, does this mean that you have to succeed or you don't have to succeed? You just have to attempt. See, that's my question with the charge a while ago also.
I think that's an FAQ question.
I mean, this isn't necessarily worded as it is worded in the book, right? This is more of an article, so I mean, we'll find
Maybe.
out when the book
I
comes
would
out.
say you have to succeed. If I was a betting man, I'd say you have to succeed in it.
Yeah. But then again, this could
Because-
be worded differently, more casually compared to what the book actually says. We'll
That's
find
true.
out.
Yeah, but if you do need to succeed in it, I think this is very risky. But if you're fighting one monster, this looks like so much fun.
Exactly. But it'd also be fucked if you were fighting one monster only because you need to do the third one, right? The roar, the terrifying.
Yeah, because you need to target
Yeah.
something with one or two wounds.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is Splat. Pick an enemy hero and kill it with throwing rocks, hurl debris, or hurl ball. Basically, kill something with range attacks. That's funny.
I think this is decent if you have a lot
Yeah.
of shooting, especially if you're playing against something with the weak heroes like Skaven.
I can see you fighting Skaven with this and having Purple Sun and being absolutely hilarious about it.
I don't think you need Purple Sun for that actually.
Maybe not.
Just chuck every guard. If you have like 6 man crushers, I think that's a pretty guaranteed. At least one dead hero. That's one dead priest or one dead master clan wizard right there.
Yeah, situational, but I can see that if like a Maw Crusher is down to like 1 wound left, just splat it.
Or a wild chanter, right?
A War Chanter. That's
Just-
true. Well,
War
depending on
Chanter.
context. Yeah, but that's basically what this is. The last one is Colossal Violence. You pick one of your own Mega Gargants, use the Titanic Duel Monsters Rampage, and kill a monster that you duel. I think this is the easiest one.
That's easy. That's actually pretty easy, unless you whiff your rolls, I guess. But
Yeah, it's really gross. I think Colossal Violence is an extremely consistent battle tactic if your opponent has monsters and you set up properly.
you don't even have to kill it with regular attacks. You just have to kill it. Just kill the monster that you dueled. So I mean, if you have any way to pick up a model next to the monster and then chuck it at the monster, then you're okay, right?
That's technically possible, I guess. But that's going through a lot of loops. But I like
It
this.
is, it
This
is.
one's very consistent.
I could just see a world. I have a lot of games where it comes down to the wire. I whiff my rolls, but you're down to like 2 wounds or 1 wound left. So I pick up one of your art boys and I chuck it at your monster and kill it.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to units.
All right, here we go.
Okay,
This is what we were
since there
waiting
are so
for.
few, of them, they summarized it based on the types instead. So each Mega Gargant still has 35 wounds, a 4-up save, and they have a 10-inch movement that diminishes based on the wounds that it takes. The
Good.
Broad has 40 wounds though, so that's the only difference.
Yeah.
Longshanks is the same.
So they just move over buildings and units.
So what's different about this though is that now you can only cross models or terrain that are 4 inches or less in height and aren't monsters. So now there's a stipulation as opposed to just being able to move over stuff.
Oh shit! So towers as big as Gargants, they can't move over that anymore.
Yes. So
That makes
I
sense.
think
That
that
makes
this
sense.
one,
I love it.
I like it too. It's very weird though. So if your TO hates them, you could make terrain that's all 4 inches and higher. Or
Just
you
give them
could,
a King Kong scenario where they can't just move over it.
yeah, or you have a model with a banner that makes him slightly above 4 inches and now you can't walk over them.
Oh shit! You're right. This is where conversions can come into handy.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird, but that's okay.
Well,
Let's see what it is.
now I can't even move over KO ships anymore.
Yeah. So the being immune to instant death is still a thing.
I
But
find
D6
that
mortals
dumb.
instead.
Okay, sure.
It's a small model army. If you can just get insta kill, that'd be terrible.
My Glotkin costs 700 points, and you can insta kill that thing.
So for
These
people
guys.
watching at home,
Okay.
Nurgle is currently meta. So everything Nico says
Glotkin
is
isn't.
basic.
Glotkin
So
isn't.
everything Nico says, I will classify as pearl clutching. Anyways,
Wait, okay. One
yeah.
last thing.
What?
I find that them being immune to auto kills bullshit. Just because that their own god Behemat is dead. But yeah, anyways, let's
Well,
continue.
that doesn't mean he was auto killed. He could have been bludgeoned to death repeatedly by a rock or something. I don't know. It could have been death by a million cuts. It's not auto
If
kill.
they're immune to death, why is your
You're
god dead then?
you're complete. No, they're not immune to death. They're immune to being auto kill. That's different. Oh my god. You're
Isn't that what death
misrepresenting.
is? You're on. I killed you, so you're dead.
Your argument is completely invalid. The example that you brought up is also wrong. So, anyways, crushing charge on the 2+ ideal D3 mortal wounds or D6 to a monster. Wait,
Alright,
I think this is the other way around because in the past it's D6 to non-monsters and D3 to monsters, but I think they
so
got
it.
it switched up.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's maybe this article got switched up. Oh, we'll see.
Yeah. So
Who knows? Maybe they made it more focused on monsters, right?
maybe. I think it's just switched up, but only time will tell, really. Almighty Stomp
Yeah.
and Death Grip are back. So the Mighty Stomp is still 2 attacks with 2 rend, D3 damage. With the sandals a while ago, it's gonna be 3 attacks, 3 rend, and 3 damage each. So that's actually you're right. I think it being a
Yeah.
9 damage, more consistently 9 damage is pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
instead of sorry, go.
That's on top of the main weapon pa, ha? This is just
Yeah.
like a sub weapon, so on top of the main attack from the weapon.
Yeah.
I can see this actually coming in handy.
The big difference though now is that instead of rerolling ones to hit against smaller enemies, you now get +1 to hits against them, so they hit on 2s naturally. Against
Oh, okay.
enemies
So
with 3 wounds or less, so Blight Kings are safe from this.
that's right, GW. Protect
Gross.
me.
Death Grip, which is now only Ren 2 instead of Ren 3, is much better at
Okay.
killing monsters. Instead of rerolling the 1 to hit, against monsters, it deals 2d6. You can roll 2d6 to determine the damage and pick the higher result.
I like this. I actually prefer this. This actually just
Um,
guarantees that you roll a high damage roll on your d6.
You can roll 2 double ones, but you're right. I think it's okay. So
I mean, if
Yeah.
I would instead of re-rolling the hit, if you're all out attack, you're hitting on 2s. If you roll a 1, you deserve not you deserve that. So you deserve not to do any damage at all. But if you roll a 2, I've seen situations where someone tried to death grip my Magus Lord,
yeah,
and he only rolled 1 damage. I'm not gonna say who it was, but
I've seen it too because it was me. I think it was
alright.
me. Spoiler alert, chat. It was me. I tried to death grip his Maggot Lord, and I got punished for trying. So Oh god, I
But
fucking
yeah,
hate you, man.
dude, I mean,
Oh, it's my F bomb for
just
the stream.
it
Okay, sorry.
adds, yeah, dude, you got an F bomb right there
Got an
already.
F-bomb.
So it
I get
adds
baited.
damage, right? Your one becomes a 6. Pretty good to me. Sounds pretty good.
It could be a 6, yeah. Okay. The biggest buff, however, to all the Mega Gargants is Terror. Enemies units within 3 inches cannot be issued Inspiring Presence. So it used to be just -1 to Bravery, but now it's just straight up, I killed 3 models, get the hell out of here.
I know.
It's really
I
good.
think this was something that they should not have put in the army. They did not need this. I'm just saying they did not need this.
I think with the reduction of attacks and the higher swinginess, they might need this for at least a measure of consistency. So enemy models like Death Army stuff, they're still not so scared of this. But again, Grotz and Skaven are just. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why Games Workshop hates you so much.
I even think this is pretty good against everything else. Like
Except
it
other
could work
Gargants.
against Chaos if you can pop my Blight Kings of Bravery 9 with the banner. I guess if you kill 4 Blight Kings, they kept Inspiring Presence, and that really hurts me if I lose a model just from Battle Shock. This could also hurt Stormcast Eternals. This will also hurt. I don't know if Deepkin will definitely be hurt by this. Lumineth will definitely
Lumineth will
be
get hurt by
by
this.
this. Yeah, no.
Um,
When Lumineth starts snorting crack, their bravery goes down.
I actually think Indomitable becomes such a much more important triumph in the if there's a new Gargant meta, because it also works
Uh,
with Python.
what does Indomitable do again? It
It
lets you.
okay. If you fail a bravery check, then you can choose to succeed instead.
You know what?
What?
Yes, there's so much. I read somewhere in an article that in the meta, Battle Shock is what wins people games. Such a bold
Yeah.
statement. A lot of things are actually forcing Battle Shock now.
As we record this, Horror Ghast and
Night
the
Hunt.
other one, yeah, Night Hunt are really good.
Yeah, the combo, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not even
Uh,
sorry. It's Horror Ghast in other armies, and it basically has that same effect from Night Hunt. So that's where
yeah.
it's really good.
So I
So,
actually had a game. Sorry,
yeah.
quick break. I
Go
actually had a
go.
game where I Lord of Afflictions actually parked next to Storm Fiends for the aura, the overpowering
Yeah.
stench. And when I killed 5 Storm Fiends out of 9, it brought him down to just 1 Storm Fiend just from Battle Shock. So that just shows how important Battle Shock is right
That is
now.
so gross. I hate you so much. I'm sorry. I'm sorry this was on
Yeah.
the recording, Dennis. But
You
yeah,
know, you name dropped him. But
I
that
did.
just proves that Battle Shock, this Suns having this, can actually screw a lot of armies over.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the biggest buff that the Gargants got this entire
Yeah.
book. 100%.
And they can take and funny enough, they can also take Horror Ghast with their glowy lantern. Look, now they can double the range of the glowy lantern out of the Horror Ghast now, and have fun with it.
Yeah. And the last ability that comes back is Timber. You both roll off with your opponent. The winner chooses a spot within 5 inches, and everything within 3 inches takes D3 mortals, except Mega
I love
Gargant.
this.
So this one makes a comeback. Nothing crazy or new.
Except Mega Gargants.
Yeah, because Mega Gargants falling on Mega Gargants don't crush them.
Oh right, I did it the Kragnos in our game. Okay.
Yeah, and that's when he cried. And
Yeah. Okay,
gross.
I thought it works in Mega Gargants too.
No, it doesn't. So okay, now we're going to King Broad. This is the new unique
Here we go.
character that's making a comeback from the lore, and he has 3 new prayers. What is interesting about him is that he is a War Master, as you guessed earlier, Nico, and because he's a War Master, he also gets an 18-inch range for being able to give commands, because he's also a general.
Yeah, and if your general dies, at least you still have a general left, right? Technically.
Yeah, he
Maybe
also
that's the
knows several. He also knows. Sorry, because he's unique though, he can't get curse or heal, but he's gonna know
Yes,
Smite and
sadly.
Bless because they're universal.
Yes.
He has so with Bless he can give himself a 6+ ward. He can also attempt to dispel endless spells, which is very useful because Sons of Behemat traditionally doesn't have that.
Yeah,
And
tama.
yeah, so he has 4 attacks off the bat. That's his max. He hits and wounds on 3+, red 2, but they have a flat 5 damage, so his maximum output is 5. 20, I mean.
Oh, they changed. This was When they leaked this at first, right? It was Ren 3, then they brought it down to Ren 2.
Yes, they
It
brought it
used
out to
to be
Ren 2,
Ren
so
2.
the leaks were
Yeah.
changed. Yeah, so that
Thank God, because 5 damage each hit, right?
don't thank God yet, because there's a prayer that improves their rend, but that's a spoiler. His
Wow.
ability here is called Creepers, which you can where you can pick an enemy monster within 3 that has chosen to perform a monster's rampage, and you roll a die and
Yeah.
compare it based on his wound chart. So it starts at 2 and diminishes to 5. If you beat that roll, the monster doesn't get to do monster's rampage. I think this is very interesting, and it pushes Sons of Behemoth's narrative of direction of being good against monsters. Like it denies Great and Clean One stuff. It denies like other Sons of Behemoth complex monsters rampages. This is
Yep.
interesting and weird.
Uh, you know what?
What?
It just fucking asserts his dominance over monsters. And I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I think
love
that's
it.
pretty good.
If you play against other Suns armies, it's just him flexing at them. You can't suplex me. You can't grapple me. I'm the king, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Also,
Oh, yeah,
you can't if he does that, I can't do mountain of loathsome flesh. I can't do the sumo slam with Togotkin. I can't do the
yeah,
ghoul what either. I'm trying to think of all these Archeon suddenly can't do his monstrous rampage. Spoiler alert, his chimera heads now are now monstrous rampage actions now. So fun fact.
yep.
But yeah, he can't do
Um,
that. So interesting.
I think being able to deny ground shaking stomp from Sylvaneth is also really big.
Yes, I forgot that was a monstrous rampage actually.
Yeah, they changed a lot of the monster abilities from last edition into monsters rampages, and this
I'm liking
interacts
it.
with that so well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
like it.
actually liking the fact that they're making more monstrous actions. I'm really tired of just having the 3.
Yeah. So okay. So now let's go on to what makes him interesting. One of the things that makes him interesting, it's that he's a priest and he has 3 prayers. The power of Behemoth is a prayer that has 3 possible effects. But before we go on to them, you add +1 to chanting roll if an enemy monster has been slain by this unit in battle. So if you're fighting an army that has like small monsters like cockatrices, then
Beast of
this
Chaos,
guy
basically.
gets to basically do it on a 2+, which is kind of big. So there are 3 possible effects. The first one is Shatter the Mountain. It adds 2 inches to the movement of all Sons of Behemoth units until the end of the turn.
It's a weird name for something that adds movement. I don't know why they just shatter the mountain, but it
I agree.
increases movement.
I don't really get it either, but
Yeah.
that's what it does. So, yeah, if you auto run something and can run and charge, this thing actually complements that insane speed you might be going for. Might of the Earth is you heal all of your Sons of Behemoth units D3
No, that cleanses my D3
poison
is not amazing
disease.
with that many wounds, but it gets rid of disease, I guess. So that's
Yeah,
what
I
for
think
me.
that what's really good about this is if you double turn your opponent and get this off twice, that's 2d3 on top of heroic recovery that you're healing.
That's true. And then you suddenly have glowing lantern, then you put Emerald Life Swarm down, then you're healing
Oh
underneath.
god, that's so gross.
You're right.
That's really
See?
interesting. I can see a very degenerate build with that. We
Yeah,
should try
yeah.
that someday.
But he has to
Um,
kill him. This is a prayer, though, right?
yeah, he gets it on a 3+. It's on a 2+ if he kills a monster.
Okay, and it becomes a 2+ forever.
Yes, but he needs to kill a monster, which is a tough ask early game.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one, however, is I think the most dangerous one. It's Pummel to Dust. It improves the rend characteristics of all the melee attacks from Mega Gargons that are not stomps, death grips, or kicks, or headbutts. So basically the clubs.
Okay, I'll make a comment about how this affects the Beast Smasher when I see the rend of the Beast Smasher weapon right here.
Yeah, so this thing adds rend to it. So it was rend 2-3 originally for the attack of like King Broad, but now it's rend 3 with the prayer, which is still gross because that's still 20 damage at rend 3.
I appreciate that the fact that he has to work for the extra rend. I felt it would feel very broken if he had rend 3 and then it would just make it rend 4, and I find that extremely broken already.
Yeah, he has 580 points, which makes it tough for him to fit in the list. But I saw a list earlier that fit for Mega Gargants with him anyway, and I'll talk about that later.
Oh,
So
what? He's 540 points? That's really hard
500,
to fit in the list.
no, he's 580.
That's hard to fit in the list. Oh no! It would be a shame if he costed 700 points. Like I don't
Yeah,
know
but
the
Nurgle
Glotkin,
is Nurgle's meta, so stop complaining.
but the
Yeah.
Glotkin isn't meta. I wish the Glotkin had something like this. I don't know, like something. I don't know, something broken.
Okay. I
500
think
points.
Glotkin's already good where he is.
And suddenly this has become the Glotkin show. But yeah, okay.
Glotkin. So if you guys haven't picked it up yet, Nico is a Nurgle, Maggotkin of Nurgle player. I don't know what
Yeah.
gave it away, but he plays Maggotkin of Nurgle. So
Let me know. I just like to point out the injustices of the world right now.
the
It
injustices,
starts
I
with the
know.
Glotkin.
Oh
Yeah.
man, Pearl clutching at its finest. So
Ooh,
Beast Smasher
sorry.
tribe. We're moving on.
Alright.
The other the Beast Smashers. Um, oh, they only have 3 attacks. They hit on 3s, wound on 2s though, and the rend is 3.
Oh god, so it
So
becomes Rend 4?
it becomes rend 4, but the maximum damage output's 15 because it's only 3
That's
attacks.
that's still pretty good. And if you do that single swipe with the 5d6 damage, that becomes Rend 4, and your monster's not gonna save from that.
Yeah, it's very swingy, and I like that this is the the crazy cousin who, you don't know how he'll always choose to swing very wide. So very all or nothing. I think it's cool.
God damn, he's gonna kill Kragnos with this thing, actually. You can really kill Kragnos in one go with this.
Yeah, so with Behemoth Brawler, it seems like he can actually carry out 2 monsters rampages instead of 1 when engaged with an enemy monster. I think, and this might not age well, that they missed out on something. Behemoth Brawler, I think, only works if you're against 2 separate monsters, not just one. So you
Yeah.
can't roar and Titanic Duel at the same time, but I could be wrong. If they can do that, this is really strong.
Okay.
So imagine being able to suplex a monster and grapple another monster in the same turn. That's pretty cool.
Jesus Christ. Okay,
So
what
Beast
else can you do? What else fancy stuff can you do aside from that?
um
Uh, you can roar at one thing and then stomp on the other, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, you can do a mix of things.
Funny enough,
You
I was
get
actually hoping the War Stomper or like the Gargants would have a special monsters action, like a Super Stomp, because they're bigger, right? So I thought they would
well,
get something
you
like
already
that.
gave them a suplex and you already gave them really cool shit. I think this is
Yeah, against the
okay.
monsters, I was expecting something to do like against a
Well,
unit that's smaller, has a smaller base size than the Gargants. You can do a stomp
um
that deals d6 damage plus 3 or something like that. I don't know.
okay. Actually, yeah, it makes a lot more sense for them to be able to do that. It sounds like it would be a command trait or because they
Or
don't have
maybe a
mod
War
traits here.
Stomper, right? Maybe a War Stomper should have. That's their whole shtick, right? Just stomping.
Um I guess. But they already have Stomp and they have they have the the earth shaking roar thing. So they
Yeah,
probably just didn't
yeah.
want to add more stuff like that.
That's true. That's true. I
So
don't know why
the
I'm
beast
asking them to make it more broken, but yeah, anyways.
it's not really even broken. I actually think these are nerfs, to be completely honest with you. I
Well, in
think
a way, the volume of
Suns got
attacks.
nerfed to feel a lot more fair because they degrade now. They used to not
Yeah,
do that. Beast Smasher, for people who are asking, it's 520 points.
520 points. So
Kind of
he's
big.
almost as much as King Broad. Okay.
60 points behind, but it's it's like Gatebreaker. So War Stomper,
Hmm.
he's basically unchanged. The important change is that the hurled body now means that it happens immediately after the War Stomper makes its pile-in move.
So
Um, yeah,
you can kind of break cohesion with this then, right? I guess.
yeah. So in the past, it used to be after combat instead of pile-in. So now your opponent can actually adjust their cohesion a bit better.
Okay, so it makes it more interactive, more friendly.
It makes it less broken and less anti-fun, I guess.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
cohesion is one of AOS 3's big weaknesses as far as rules go, and this one helps not make that so bad. The
Okay.
biggest buff to War Stomper though is it's now 450 points for a War Stomper.
I actually, sorry, spoiler again. I can't get Slaves of Darkness leaks out of my mind. But this could be actually, might actually be really good against Slaves of Darkness just because they can pluck the banners.
Yeah, they can pluck banners, command stuff. So yeah, I agree. War Stompers are very good at sniping.
That unique enhancement they get on a banner. They just it's gone now.
It's called ensorcelled banners, and we can't really tell you why we know that, leaks.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no.
let's move on to Kraken Eater.
Kraken Eaters. Here we go.
So instead of having 8 attacks, it only has 4 attacks now for the Shipwrecker Club, but now it's 4 damage each. So
Yeah.
I did the math for this one, and the average damage output is still the same: 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 4 damage rend 2. It's still the same
Uh,
regardless of 8 attacks with 2 damage or 4 attacks with 4 damage.
it's not amazing, but you take this for the Taker tribe, I guess, to be
Yep.
obnoxious.
It's really good for being able to kick. It still kicks objectives, and you can still stuff D3 enemy models into the net after piling in.
Okay, I think that's still pretty good. I
It's
actually
still
think
really good.
that's the trade-off. It's good. It's good. Okay,
Yeah. So
not much changes here.
yeah, the Kraken Eater I think stayed the same at 480 points.
Yeah, and I think something important to note is that all of these guys get tabled with their mightiest. What's that? Mightier
Mightier
makes
makes
right.
right here.
Mightier makes right tier. So it starts at 25 and then they go down to 12. Yes, I'm confirming it
Yes.
right now. It goes down to
Sorry,
12.
no. It's 20 to 12, and but for gate
King
sorry,
Broad.
but for Kraken Eaters, it's 25 to 17 because they get +5
Ah,
for their objective taking.
okay. Yeah, so 17 is still a lot. Okay.
Yeah, it's still respectable.
It's respectable. Yeah, definitely. Because by the time you bring it down to 17, you'll have less than 17 models for sure.
Yeah, you still outnumber a 5-man unit of expert conquerors.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're whittling them down also at the same time. So it's not broke. It doesn't make Suns scuffed. It just makes it at least beatable now.
Yeah. Okay. So
Gate
now let's move on to
breakers.
gate breakers. The movement of the gate breakers was nerfed. It's now moving 10 inches like everyone else. It used to move like 11 or 12 inches, I think. And you can now switch out your melee attacks to go all or nothing. On a 4+, you deal 4d6 mortal wounds to an enemy unit within 3.
Okay, so it's okay. Sorry. Wait, single roll for 46. Cover it. No, wait. This works on anything?
Yeah.
That's new.
Yeah. So
Oh, I thought it was against garrison units only, but apparently you can do it to a single monster.
I guess so. So it lets you swing very wide, and it's interesting but niche. It's a 50% all or nothing, and if you're a destruction player who and you're basically going Oonga Boonga all the time, then this is fantastic.
But wouldn't his main attacks actually do more damage than 4d6? On
Questionable. If you're
average.
very tabled, then no.
Ah, okay. So I guess this is your last ditch effort. If you're very tabled, you don't want to put up with less attacks with hitting on 4s, or if your
Yeah.
opponent debuffs you to hitting on 5s, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's also really good if your opponent has a lot of save stacking.
Yes, yes. I very much agree.
So, okay. The other thing,
I
though,
am
is
more
that
scared of this thing now, actually.
no, yeah, it is scary. The Gatebreaker actually went down to 520 points, regardless of what the article says. So 5-point decrease is very deliberate because now if you add, he now fits very neatly in the list with King Broad. So 520 plus 580, that's 1,100, which leaves you with 900 points to play around with. So I
I'm
think the
sorry.
5-point decrease is actually deliberate.
The pulverizing strike
Yeah.
is not once per game. It's any phase he does this.
Yeah.
He
No,
fights.
no, any combat phase. Yeah. It replaces all the attacks. So you don't get
That's
attacks anymore.
that's ridiculous though, because it becomes ward saves. And man, against anything that's not Nurgle, this is actually pretty good.
That's true. Uh, Yeah, absolutely. It's actually very scary. Imagine rolling
Destroy Stormcast
24.
Eternals, actually.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
I think this one went down to 5 attacks at 4 damage each. So it has the same number of same maximum damage output, I think, but it did lower number of attacks, making the math for the gargants all swingier. Still hits on 4s though, so very swingy.
Oh, single 4 for 4d6 mortal wounds. That is, my mind is boggled by this. I
Yep.
can imagine him doing this to Kragnos and straight up killing him already.
Yeah, I guess yeah, gargants have become all or nothing. And a lot of these abilities basically delete models off the table, which
I
is
hope this doesn't become like. I don't hope this doesn't present itself as another purple sun problem in the
yeah.
meta. That's what I'm worried about right now.
Yeah, it would be scary though. Can you imagine? You could if we have Purple Sun and you have Broad, then you get to do the prayer and you get to have Red 4 on your attacks. Or if you have a Beast Smasher, then with Purple Sun, that's Red 5. It's hilarious.
Okay.
So now let's talk about the Man Crushers. These guys got the biggest glow up, I think. They have fewer swings from 10 attacks. Now they have 4 attacks for their clubs. It does 2 damage each. So overall, it's a nerf in damage. But with all their new abilities and command abilities for tribe, there are contexts that make them much better.
It's more utility, more versatility also, actually.
Yeah. So as per before, they can still run and charge if they're within 15 inches of a Mega Gargant and can stuff an enemy model in the bag.
Running and charging, that's pretty good. Lalo pa if you start giving them the 3d6 charge.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think these things, although pretty soft in terms of saves and no ward saves, these things can actually fairly pin an opponent in their own objective.
Yeah, so a while ago, what you were saying about the Mega Stomp, they actually kind of gave it to the Man Crushers. So Stomp
Okay.
monster action will do extra damage equal to the number of models in the unit, not counting the leader. So if you have a mob of 3, it's going to be D3 plus 2 because it's representing multiple of them stomping on people.
Oh, a number of models in the on the Man Crusher unit.
In the Man Crusher, it's the number of models in the enemy unit. That'd be bonkers, though.
I thought you meant like on the unit. I'm like, wait a minute,
No, that
20
would be
grots?
broken. That's I'd like to deal 20 mortal wounds plus D3.
I also love how when we hear Horde Killer, let's go to Grots, the obviously meta army in the list, and not Skaven that's doing so bad already.
They're so good that Games Workshop denied them both a Battletome and the White Dwarf article.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. If you're a Gloomspite Gets what player watching this, we also sympathize with you.
Look. If they ever get their book one day and they become a huge problem in the meta, play this, take all the clips from this video, cut out the parts where we specifically wail and taunt Grots and shit on Grots and send it to us to make us eat our words. But anyways, let's continue.
Yeah, so now we're talking about the allies. So the three allies come back: Bundo, One Eyed, and Big Drug. But the addition we'll go straight to the addition, which is that. Wait, what's up? What's so funny?
I'm sorry. His name. Oh no, God Swallow.
God Swallow. All right, Nico is a very
Alright.
special person who thinks about Slanesh things a lot. So like, it's only Beast Smasher is only available to Destruction armies, and he gains +1 to hit rolls against all enemy monsters, making him 2 to hit, 2 to wound with all of his attacks, basically. With his
I can
club
argue
attack,
that
which is
this is
pretty good.
actually better than actually taking a single Beast Smasher in your own army. It becomes better in someone else's army.
You lose out in the battle traits, I guess. Like, actually, no, that's not true. You get Mightier Makes Rightier still, I think.
You have a monster. You have a guaranteed monster killer.
Yeah. So hey, look, Gloomspite Gets and Orc armies could benefit from this. So I guess Gloomspite Gets did get a buff from the Sons of Behemat book. Oh no. So yeah, the rest of them have pretty much stayed the same, I believe. And
Oh no, God Swallow's gonna take the meta.
so Order or Destruction can get Bundo for get a Kraken Eater. Chaos and Destruction can get a War Stomper, and Death and Destruction can get a Gatebreaker. So yeah,
They gave Chaos the worst one.
Yeah. So they no longer eat up the first turn command point. And yeah, that's it. Those are the changes for the book. What do you think,
Okay.
Nico?
I'm expecting them to actually. I expect more people to take these as mercenaries now. Now that they don't eat a command point anymore. Seeing how
Which
good
one
they are now.
Would you take a War Stomper in yours?
No, because they gave us the shittiest one. But if I had the choice of taking the Gatebreaker, I would I love mortal wounds, and 46 mortal wounds on a death army is insane.
Yeah, not gonna lie. It's tempting
Yeah.
to get a Mega Gargant. I might want to make a Beast Smasher and just put it in my army for the lulz.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you'd like to have someone named God Swallow in your army, but okay.
Auto God Swallow, no.
His workshop is so stupid. What's his shtick? He likes to swallow. Okay.
Auto God Swallow. Okay.
But yeah, overall, I know it's technically a debuff. I know it's technically a nerf, right?
Sure.
It's technically a nerf, but I've seen nerfs that went completely wrong, and this does not feel like one of them. This feels like actually less of a nerf and just giving them more shit to do.
I think that the Sons of Behemat book is another example of Games Workshop doing battle tomes in third edition, right? It feels a lot more like there's so much more flavor to it, and it feels more like an adjustment that feels kind of fair. It doesn't make them unplayable, and with all the suplex and the wrestling moves that they gave them, it shows that Games Workshop wrote this book for a very specific target audience.
I actually would argue
Yeah,
that the right thing to do for the Suns book
yeah.
is to just erase them from the face of this earth right now. This
Wow.
never happened. This
I
never
should have
happened. They never existed.
I should have gotten someone else to do a review with me for the Suns book because the guy reviewing
I
this book with me is overly vindictive of Suns.
What do I hate? Oh, what do I think about the book? I absolutely hate it because it's so fucking good.
Don't you want more good books and battle tomes in
No,
the
because
game?
only I can have the good book. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's a good book.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I like it.
so Games Workshop, if you're watching this, though I doubt it, this Nurgle player thinks that his book is the only good book, so you should probably nerf it to the ground. That is the plan.
No.
That
Oh
is the plan.
shit. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
what about you? What do you think about it?
I literally just spent the past few minutes talking about what I thought. I liked it. It's adjustments, not really nerfs. A lot more personality. Can't wait to play against it, and I want to test this out. I guess.
Oh god. You're gonna start buying all these gargants now, and now I'm gonna have to put up
No,
with gargants.
no, they're still too expensive. I'd probably just borrow them from a friend if I could.
I mean, we can always I don't know, we can always get a Ken doll, stick it on a base and call it a gargant, I
No,
guess.
we're not
You
doing
call
that.
him Auto God Swallow, right?
No, we're not doing. We are not on video admitting to proxying models that are not 100% GW. Don't do that.
Oh, look at me! I'm Auto God Swallow, and like with my removable ascot. I'm sorry, we're getting
Oh
off
my
topic
god.
here.
Oh
Oh,
no shit. You've been like I'm sorry, but you go on tangents about Nurgle and Godsaw and Slaves to Darkness leaks. So yeah, we have been getting off topic sometimes.
all right,
Oh.
all right.
But yeah, thank you for joining us. If you stuck around this entire time for the video, tell us what you think about the new Sons of Behemoth book in the comments. If we missed out on something and you have some tips for having us improve the content that you want to see, like please, put in the comments. Let us know. Again, sub, give us a like. It really helps us out. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for joining us. Again, I am Lance.
And I'm Nico, and hopefully,
And
if you guys sub, we finally can get early previews of the books.
yes, 19,000 subs later. But yeah, then we are Wartilyo and hoping to make more content here live from not really live, but recording from the Philippines. All
Yep.
right. Take care, everyone. Peace.